developing the partnership now with Brisbane City Council, Green Heart Fair and City Parklands for the last 3 years. And over the last 2 years, we've been able to bring that to fruition by presenting student works at Green Heart Fair. We set out to create a bunch of really quite quiet and thoughtful artworks that would sit well within a busy public festival, but call attention to the environment and the Indigenous history of the place, and maybe ask people to slow down a little bit and think about the not only the powerful sacred land that they are on at that time, but also there's that idea of regeneration, that idea that we don't just want to protect what we have now, but we want to make the future better. And I think each of the artworks in some way speaks to those ideas.
There was originally a very substantial waterway through this place, and it was used by the original inhabitants as a meeting place, feasting place, growing place, and healing. In 1860 thereabouts, they decreed that the original inhabitants had to leave the area, weren't allowed back, and after that they filled in the ponds and put pipes and irrigation through everywhere and turned it into European-looking parkland and a golf course.
The intention of the project is to create artworks that reflect the earth and the nature and the environment of Brisbane, Victoria Park, in a sustainable way, creating them with sustainable materials, sustainable processes, and planning for the artworks and sculptures to have a life beyond this event, where they can live on in a new location with different people using them. They can be donated to the Brisbane City Council as well for use beyond the Green Heart Fair event, which also just links to the sustainability that Green Heart Fair promotes and encourages.
My name is Kelsey Woods. I like to work with installation, sculpture and digital media. My work, Curiosity Nest, is comprised of modular nesting boxes that contain small robotic components that generate sound kinetically. These boxes have been made in wildlife regulation standards so that they can be restored and donated to Victoria Park following the Green Hearts Fair. I was really inspired to make Curiosity Nests after learning about the park's rich cultural and environmental history. It was really important to me that I used this as a way to create a bit of a bridge in communication for voices past, present and future that are not heard or unable to be heard. Curiosity Nests makes a direct comment between how we choose to interact with the modern world and how that affects the natural living world around us. Producing Curiosity Nests was quite a laborious process. The nesting boxes themselves were quite simple as we already had the plans. We chose a really raw aesthetic because I felt that that was something that you would see back in the colonial era when settlements first started popping up in Victoria Park. It was really important that these felt significant and appropriate for the space. Building the internal components was a lot more hands-on. I have never used electrical components before in my artworks, and all of these required microcontrollers. So they're fully powered and controlled by Arduino Unos, which was a challenge. I chose the space where Curiosity Nest has been installed as I really wanted something that pulled people away from the main event and was quieter so that they could actually hear the sounds that these little nesting boxes are making. I wanted to create an artwork that would capture the audience's attention and really force them to slow down and listen closely. I really want them to pay attention and value the green spaces that we have left, as well as acknowledge the traditional landowners, their history and their plight for survival in this land.
My name is Ashleigh Reardon. I am a painter, photographer and installation artist, and I tend to explore the beauties of nature and grounding, calming and meditative experiences in my art practice. Installation work, Aqueous Canopy, is made up of 3 chandelier-style structures that are holding water in the bottom of each of them so that people can sit underneath them and look up and see the refractions of light coming through the clear domes, but also see any wildlife that interacts with the design, with the water. The process I used to make Aqueous Canopy included the laser cutting of plywood into the specific design for the pieces, this specific and symmetrical branch and leaf style that I wanted to achieve. I also laminated the pieces of wood together to make it thicker so it could withstand the elements of nature in Brisbane, also known as Windy Place. I also used a vacuum former to create the dome shape in the acrylic sheets using heat. My work at Aqueous Canopy relates to the Brisbane site because the wood structure itself, with the design of branches and leaves, relates directly to the tree population that is in the Brisbane Park. The water that's held in the bottom of each of these structures makes reference to the water that resides in the park and is used by the wildlife. The work also makes reference to the Brisbane theme for 2024, which is regeneration, in the sense that the wood structures represent branches and leaves growing and expanding. The audience experience that I want to foster in the Aqueous Canopy work is for people to feel grounded to the earth, to feel peaceful and meditative, but also to take notice of the nature, to focus on the tree and the birds that fly around it and possibly and hopefully interact with the water that's in the bottom of each of these structures.
Hi, I'm Sophia Summers. My practice mainly spans around mental health and considering who we are and how we interact with the world. So my installation sanctuary is a very large-scale installation. It is a sculpture spanning 2 meters by 2 meters, and it's made of green waste matter, 80% hopefully by the end of it, from the green waste facility at Brisbane or Victoria Park, and it uses weaving practices and different techniques to create a hut-like structure, but it's all about just connecting to place and inviting yourself to remember creativity and feeling safe in where you are. My artwork, Sanctuary, relates to Brisbane Park because of the traditional custodians who have lived there and never gave the place up, as we're seated on taken land, stolen land. The place is really re-inviting us to think about who's lived here, where was this sanctuary initially, and what this sanctuary is for people now. So it's connection to land. For me, it's just a connection to finding a place in the city, the hustle and bustle, and reminding yourself that beautiful places are still here that aren't industrialized. sanctuary relates to regeneration, as a core aspect is planting tube stock within the work. So there'll be viola banksies or violet banksies on the top of sanctuary on the roof, and throughout the whole thing will be different native plants. The project was very tedious and it took a lot of time. I am very happy with what has become of the project. I think there's a lot of blood, sweat and tears in it, and I'm really thankful to my team, including Arlo and Angel, who have helped me along the way, and as well as my parents, who have also helped me, and Elo. I hope the audience enters the area and just connects with themselves. There's also going to be an activity running within the project, so you have the main installation, and then as well as that there'll be activities for children, but it's really all ages, to create their own mini sanctuaries out of green waste. And I just hope it sparks creativity. I hope people feel connected and safe there, and I hope they remember all the beautiful things they can do every day, and that you don't have to be in a certain place to be creative.
Hi, my name's Marielle Johnston. I come from Yawaru country in Broome and currently reside in Meanjin, Brisbane. I like to draw connections to the phenomena and the human experience, bringing those two into installations and sculptures. I like to think that my art contributes to the audience's experience and their sense of place, giving them a new perspective of place and their connection to the natural world. So Deep Listening is a 45-metre long installation that consists of at least 64 panels of fabric. It's sort of dispersed in fragmented design, weaving through a line of paperbark trees. It effectively replicates the textures of the paperbark trees. Deep listening actually is referred to as Didiri in the Dali River country people up Northern Territory, and it essentially means deep listening. So it's a traditional methodology of mindfulness practice, and that was currently what I was very inspired with in this artwork. It pays homage to the textures of the paperbark trees and the regenerative and environmental importance of the Melaleuca species and the paperbark, the cultural significance that it's had with the Indigenous people. So basically, deep listening artwork was, I began with observing and studying the site, just looking at the dimensions and the measurements, trying to aim for this sense of the element of wind. And so the design of the artwork really kind of tries to achieve that sense of activating that sense of the wind, and just really studying a material choice, looking at the ethical properties of all the materials that I've chosen for this artwork, being very critical, trying to be very sustainable as much as possible. The palette, the colour palette of the paperbark trees has been collected into the fabric, so really sort of celebrating those textures. So deep listening aims to achieve that sensory activation of place and really gaining a bit of a deeper relationship with the trees themselves. It essentially aims to get the audience to come away from this overload sensory world, material world, into a more deep, sensitive and soft, safe place of contemplation, and to be able to listen more deeply.
It's been fantastic. It's a great weather. It's really turned it out. There's a great group of people here to visit, and most impressed with the installation and the artwork. It looks fantastic and really gives a good feel for the whole park. It sort of fits in really well. And we walked through it and had a very relaxing experience, and everyone seems to be really enjoying it. It's a great day.
It's been a really nice experience here. People being able to just come and go as they please with the installation, and it really fits in with the scenery and overall vibe of the place.
What a fantastic event this is. It's just incredible. We need more of this going on. Keep it up.
I loved Sanctuary. It was it's such a peaceful little space, and I came with some friends, and one of them was saying how they also loved the scent of the eucalyptus leaves through it, and just how it makes you want to go in and actually sit within that space.